What does it take to build a thriving business, overcome personal challenges, and still find time to give back to the community? Today, I'm sitting down with Kayleb Burritt, co founder of Legacy Roofing and Solar, a company built on faith, family, and service. Caleb's journey is nothing short of inspiring. He's not only a successful entrepreneur, but also a dedicated husband, father of five, and a leader in the recovery community. From managing large scale roofing projects to mentoring men in recovery and even completing 4 half marathons last year, Caleb proves that grit, growth, and grace can transform both business and life. In this episode of This is Jax, we'll dive into his story, how he went from Mattoon, Illinois to Northeast Florida, the challenges he faced along the way, and how his unique approach to leadership is making an impact beyond the roof. Let's get started. I'm sitting down with Kayleb Burritt. Kayleb, welcome, man.
What's going on, Nate? Appreciate you.
What's going on? I'm glad to have you on here. We met probably almost a year ago now, I think.
Yeah, yeah, about right at it.
Yeah, about a year ago. Kayleb is co-founder of Legacy Roofing and Solar. It's a woman-owned roofing company with offices in Illinois and Northeast Florida. Now, it's you and your wife are the business partners there, or?
Correct.
Okay, cool. And you're here in Northeast Florida now and in Illinois. Are you still going back and forth between both?
Yeah, we are. So Illinois is where we both grew up,
Okay.
graduated. My wife went to college there, and Florida's always had a little piece of my heart, but Illinois will always hold a little piece of my heart as well.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, let's just kind of dive right into it. Obviously, you moved here. This is your fourth full-time year here, but go ahead and just tell me a little bit of backstory. Who's Kayleb? Tell me a little bit about Legacy Roofing Co., and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, so a little bit about me, my background. Started in 2016, went from spending 8, 9 years in the car business to just wanting to make a big change. There's a couple things that I knew that I loved, and that was running a sales team, traveling, helping people. And it just got to a point in the car business where uh, I needed a big change. His daughter and my dad had done HVAC and construction his whole life. So I had a good friend of mine who always looked up to Will Bates and Central Roofing. And he reached out and asked me to start basically buy a gutter machine, and he would keep me busy and keep it paid for. And just kind of through that relationship, I'm like, man, I can do this. I can do the sales side. The manual labor side wasn't as fun for me, and then that kind of, snowballed into me going to roofing school, getting my license. And that allowed, I saw him chasing storms, working hailstorms, hurricanes, and that kind of transpired. And really, it kicked off 2017 when Hurricane Irma hit Southwest Florida. I had an opportunity that was right at the end of our first year in business in Illinois, and had an opportunity to go down to Naples, Marco Island, work Hurricane Irma and help a lot of people down there. Learned under a great mentor, Steve Soleil. That just snowballed. It allowed us to really set up systems and processes in Illinois. That sparked me to want to get my Florida license at that point, because I was working for another company in Hurricane Irma. From there, I worked on getting my license, and we quickly realized that we want to raise a family in Florida.
Okay.
After going back and forth, and then, our kids, we started to have more and more. So we went from 1 to 5.
Yeah.
And by the 5th kid, my wife was like, I think we need to be in Florida because I don't want you away all the time. So
Yeah. That is something, man. 5 kids. I want to get into that a little bit more. We'll get into it here in a minute. But talking about the roof, so I was curious when you first started out. You're like, I was doing cars and then your roof, and I'm like, how's he going to connect the dots here? So inevitably, it was like a friend or an acquaintance that kind of got the ball rolling for you to make the jump from cars to the roof industry. It sounds
yeah,
like.
I mean, the biggest thing there was I hated being stuck in one place. In the
Okay.
car business, you can make great money. There's 2 parts. You make great money, but you're stuck you're only making great money if you're in that building.
Sure.
I did not like that. And then I got to a point where I didn't feel like I was truly, it wasn't fulfilling, because I was selling people a car, but it wasn't the helping side, if you will. I wasn't putting them in a better position. So that was when the way, like they say, it's just because you make a lot of money doesn't mean that you're fulfilled or satisfied. And that's kind of where I was at. And then seeing Will, he was young in his career at that point in roofing, but It was just another big challenge, but that's kind of it was. I did not have it all figured out. I did not do construction my whole life. So there was the first couple
Yeah.
years were rough, figuring things out, making mistakes. But that was, I think, one thing that really cemented our legacy, if you will, because through all mistakes, we've always made them right. And that's one thing I hang my hat on is it you can communicate and own your mistakes no matter the price. People are a lot more forgiving. It's when the communication lapse and or you don't do what you say you're going to do.
Okay. Yeah, I can appreciate that. And I can empathize with that in my industry. Obviously, I sell real estate and sometimes people are like, "Man, you should get into this or this." And not knocking car guys. I buy plenty of cars. So they're out there. But I don't think I'm very good at selling real estate, but I'm not very good at selling cars because I just don't believe in that financing cars, or that I don't kind of buy into the like I deserve this car, right? Or and that's kind of the whole or at least from what I've seen, the motivation behind it, where and you're just kind of turning and burning, where I'm more like, hey, listen, like if you go from renting to owning, you can build wealth this way, or there's value this way, and that's the side of real estate that I love selling. And then the byproduct is like the transactions, really. It's like the education, not, and it sounds like you getting into roofing a little bit, you're able to provide something that actually gives good value to people and the service and the experience. And I want to talk about that a little bit. Faith, family, and service. This is something that you brought up. Your business is built on these three things: faith, family, and service. So, how do these values influence your leadership style and the way you run Legacy Roofing and Solar?
Man, all aspects. I'll start on the faith side. I think we probably all walked a path at some point without, the faith or our own will, if you will. And life's just harder. What I found there is you can still get results. That's the challenging side of it. It's not like if you don't have the faith, you're not going to get any results. They're just not as fulfilling. But how we tie that in, we keep it really simple. We pray before our sales meetings. How we make decisions is if they're big, important, customer centric, we'll pray for the right answer. We're always servant leaders first. And in every decision we do, that's how we navigate it. It's kind of our North Star, if you will. The family aspect of it is we're just a big group, a family of winners. Um, the reason I say the winter part is because it's not everybody gets all jazzed up to go to Thanksgiving with your whole family. I can tell you right now, we do get all jazzed up to do anything together. We took a company trip to Mexico. So that's the family side of it. It's not the unfun side of the family.
Yeah.
These are people who I'd go to war with or I'd do anything for, whether that be our clients or our employees.
That's great. I remember that. I think when we first met, we talked about you had a trip coming up with like your whole business. And that was really impressive just to see, you taking care of all of your employees, your crew, partners, all that, and doing that. So that's pretty impressive right there, Caleb. Talk a little bit more about the challenges. You said it was challenging early on. You spoke about some failures, overcoming those obstacles. Can you share, like, for maybe a young entrepreneur or somebody who's jumping from corporate to you jump from kind of sales to a different kind of sales and service industry, but somebody who's looking to make that leap, can you share a pivotal moment in that journey, whether it's personal or professional, doesn't matter, but where you had to kind of push through adversity just to get to the next rung on the ladder?
Yeah, I would say the biggest challenges are knowing your numbers and knowing that you're not alone. Probably the biggest misconception for business owners, especially business owners just starting out, is I think we all kind of like what we do in our personal lives, put this great persona on for everybody.
Sure.
But behind the scenes, Monday can be great, but Tuesday you're wondering if you're gonna make payroll on Friday. And
Yeah.
that's just the reality of small businesses, especially in the early stages. And sometimes that early stage can be 1 year, 5 years, 6 years. But knowing your numbers makes all those things easier. My biggest struggle in the beginning was, you know, you go from handling, as an employee, you're making, 50, $100,000 a year to, potentially handling millions of dollars. What you don't realize as a young entrepreneur that just because the revenue is millions of dollars doesn't mean the profit's millions of dollars.
Mm.
And that was my biggest struggle early on is, man, I knew real quick I could generate a lot of revenue,
Yeah.
but if we spend more of the profits than we actually have, the revenue is irrelevant. You just have bigger problems at that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
mastering your financials early on and spending the time to train on the language of business, if you will, because it is very, very important. It's very vital.
Yeah, there's always like waves. I don't know if you feel it in your industry. I mean, we're in the same industry, but I don't know if in your job specific, where mine is so seasonal, or things like the election cycle. We're just coming off of that, and it was like it was kind of not quarter four, but halfway through quarter three to like almost midpoint of quarter four, there was like this weird like nothing season right during
Yeah.
the election, right? And it's just people, the consumer is just sitting there saying, there's some uncertainty and I'm going to wait to make, they probably made the same decision regardless of what the outcome was, to believe it or not. But there's just something going on in our society, like an election, big things like that, where they sit on the sidelines for a little bit and it affects you. And if you don't have your reserves or you don't have your accounts ready to make those payrolls or to continue with your ad services or whatever, you can get in a huge mess during that. Do you get seasonal with roofing? Do you get seasonal here, or is it just kind of steady?
Yeah, in our Illinois office definitely gets
Okay.
seasonal. It really from December to March, it's hit or miss whether it's beginning of March or end of March. But yeah, that was a big challenge we encountered early on. Is even though living there for my whole life, that first winter in Illinois, it's like, oh, we can't put on roofs. That's how I
Right.
make money, and that's honestly what prompted the Florida
Okay.
adventure. Hurricane Irma happened, not knowing my numbers early on. I didn't have a choice. It was, hey, you need to go work down here to build the cash reserves, continue the cash flow. And that's honestly what pushed me to realize, all right, what are we going to do in the winters moving forward? So I got the Florida license. The idea was to have an outlet in the winter for sales guys, teammates, and that's what started the whole snowball of going back and forth to Florida, because I didn't want to try adding another, like doing snow plowing or anything like that, because I wanted to become a master of our craft instead of just
Yeah.
trying to be okay at a lot of things. And yeah, so in Illinois, it's definitely seasonal. We see here in Florida in the July, August, when it gets brutally hot, we do slow down a little bit more for the safety of our teammates and
Yeah.
employees, because it's brutal in the summer here.
So hot, man. I went to kind of like an apprentice thing where when I was transitioning, getting out of the military, kind of building some different skill sets. And they had one where you could build houses, but literally, so I went to this class in the summertime to build houses. And yeah, I can attest to that. And all we did was build like basically tiny homes from the ground up, roof, siding, everything, and then would tear them down. So you learn the build and the demo. So
Really?
imagine just building a house and then just tearing it down. It's crazy.
God.
Tile, everything. And it was super hot doing that. So I can attest to that. But bringing it back, let's get back to the more personal side. I want to talk about a little bit about Jacksonville. What was it you guys, and Northeast Florida? A lot of times we talk, and even you and I talked beforehand, because I know you live in the St. Johns County area, but I'm sure for work. I know I just sent you some work in Jacksonville. I'm glad we were able to finally connect on something, by the way.
Yeah.
So that was cool. But what was it, that you fell in love with, that you decided like, hey, we're still going to be managing businesses back and forth, but our homestead, where we live, where we raise our kids, is going to be here. What was the attraction to Jacksonville that you fell in love with?
Oh man, the attraction was, so where we come from in Illinois is a small town, 18,000 people. Put it in perspective, our mascot was the green wave for the
Okay.
wave of the corn. Like that's how in the middle of a cornfield we were. But there's some pros and cons to that. The pros being a very small, tight-knit community. Everybody knows everybody. For 35 years, I'd never locked my vehicle
Yeah.
just because where we're at. And that's what we wanted to duplicate in Florida. So that's really how we honed into Northeast Florida. The St. Augustine, we like that area, that community. And then having access to the airport was key for us as well. We planted ourselves in Nocatee, which is a little north of St. Augustine, and, part of Nocatee is in Duval
Sure.
County, Jacksonville. So we wanted to be able to have a community impact, not be in such a big city that, nobody knows us, but also have a big enough city where we can pick which Target we want to go to and pick which Sam's Club we want to go to,
Sure.
while having just the opportunity and space for our kids. Safety was a big one. School district was, at the top of the list. So, and then just having access to the fun activities that we want to do to enjoy life. So You've got it from golf courses to beach to Disney, an hour, hour and a half
Yeah.
away, to two international airports within 140 minutes and one, an hour and a half. So it hit all the buckets, and then the people. That's another big factor. It's a lot of, they say your network is your net worth, and being in the Jacksonville, St. John's, Duval, Clay County area, the opportunity to increase your network is limitless, in my opinion, around here. So I think all those played a factor into it.
Yeah. Okay. That's pretty cool, man. I love hearing about that. Obviously, I feel similar way about our city after spending so much time here. You mentioned community. And so I want to talk a little bit about the community impact. You and Amanda, you're deeply involved in the recovery community. So what inspired that commitment? How's it shaped, both your personal life, and I'm sure it spills into your business as well.
Yeah, overflows into all of it, personal, business, and house. I think I was, give or take, a year, 7 or 8 years old when I went to my first NA meeting. I grew
Okay.
up in a household. My father was an addict. My mother was an addict up until I was 15, 16.
Okay.
Yeah, my dad got clean and sober, and so I've been in and around that my whole life. And then fast forward to when we started our business, I knew I could reach people that some people couldn't, because I've been through that. My parents were in that. I went through an addiction from 18 to 24, and I wanted to be able to reach down and help that next person up, give second chances. I saw what it did for my dad, myself. That's really what spawned that. And then starting to pull those guys onto the team. And we've had great success. I've got some of our top guys on our team were dropped on our doorstep at, 2 days sober, 30 days sober. I brought a handful of people into this industry who actually, a good friend of mine, Jeremy James, he just celebrated 5 years of sobriety.
That's
Uh,
great.
Runs a $10 million plus roofing company. And it's all just because of one chance he stepped out in faith. I just exposed him to it, and he took and ran with it. So now we hold NA and AA meetings in our Illinois office on Sundays. We keep Narcan at both of our offices, because it's it's only became more of an issue as the years have progressed.
Okay. That's pretty impressive, man. That's pretty cool commitment, and it makes a difference. I've seen a difference in my own life, and I think our industry lends itself towards the liberty to, like, if you, especially like if you just kind of go down that path of substance abuse or alcohol or whatever you want, it's pretty easy to, like, you find yourself like operating day to day. When I was in the Navy and I was flying every day, for example, I didn't really drink at all, because it was kind of like a 12-hour bottle to brief. And if you show, it's a very serious kind of thing, once you get out and you're in the real estate world and you're going to this networking event and this luncheon, and everything's always like included with your ticket. And so it's very easy to
Yep.
just, and nobody's checking on you, aside from self-check or those you surround yourself with. So it's pretty cool that in a leadership position in your business, you're kind of setting that standard and then being there for those who might be in need. Man, we talked a little bit about, you guys getting here and other stuff, but listen to this. I got some fun facts. We put some fun facts section in here. Kayleb, you lost 100 pounds last year, which is incredible, and completed 4 half marathons. So you completed the half marathons while losing the weight, right? It wasn't like, how does this happen?
So the marathons were prior to losing the weight. Those are just a
Okay.
couple fun facts that most people don't realize. I actually ran the half marathon. Oh, what's the breast cancer awareness? It was last February. They have it at, like, the
The
Donna.
Donna. Yeah.
Yeah. So I did that at my heaviest weight. That is
Wow.
right when I started to really lose weight. I was down about 15 pounds, but I was 285 pounds at that point. I've kind of got a mantra, if you will, that at least once a quarter, I have to do something extremely brutal, hard, and half marathons. That was a
Okay.
mental and physical challenge. But the weight where that really came in and was finally, is this, you got to a point where enough was enough. Like, I was, all my, what do they call it? The blood panel, all of it were, the charts were bad. I wasn't heading in a good direction. So that was the one thing that I've never really put the effort or time into getting under control. And it was, once I started doing it, my dad jumped on board, my wife, after having 5 kids. And
Yeah.
collectively, I think we all lost just under 300 pounds together.
Dude, congratulations, man.
So
That
feel
is
great. totally different person now.
Yeah.
Energy level, more energy with the kids, more attentive, uh, and just a lot lighter. Now I can actually go skydiving.
Dude, is that something you like to do, skydiving?
Yeah, when I attempted to do it, I was over 250 pounds, and you can't go skydiving if you're over 250
Dang,
pounds. So
really?
yeah,
So did you sign up again yet, or you're on the list, or
yeah. So now I want to do it somewhere really like scenic, if you
okay,
will.
sure.
When we go, well, I may do. We're going to Switzerland later this year. I may do
Okay.
something like that.
Dude, super cool. How do you're running a successful company, you're in 2 different states with that, you're raising 5 kids, you're a dad, husband, all that stuff. Then you're throwing these marathons. How do you balance it? And how do you stay motivated to, like, keep the energy up?
So it's never balanced. That's probably it's one thing that I always struggle to understand from other people because it's never balanced. It's something's always getting more attention. What I try to do, my personal take on that is when I'm with my kids, I'm with my kids. If we're
Alright.
going to the park, that's where I'm at. I'm just trying to be present because what I found in the past, for me at least, is I can be around my kids more. I can, show up at 4:30 and be there. But if I'm on my phone and working on my computer,
Might as well not be.
I'm really not they're not getting I'm not meeting their expectations. It's never balanced. This weekend's a prime example. My wife and I cut away to Texas to go see her best friend for a baby shower. It was just us. We got to plug into each other. So
Yeah,
there's times it's just like this, and I just try to be present in each moment.
that's
And
good.
motivation, that's it, I know what my why is, and I don't ever really have to motivate myself. That's something that really just comes, I don't want to say natural for me, but I've got a deep, deep passion for what I'm doing,
Yeah.
and I never have to really restart that. My only thing that I struggled historically in that was my
Okay.
weight, and my health. I always that was the one thing that I always shelved, that I could never justify the time, if you will.
Yeah.
And it just took a lifestyle change. There was never a quick fix. It's a whole lifestyle change. And it took me a year to really tweak the whole lifestyle for it to become habitual habits.
Did you feel that, like, I know, and I bring it up both with my wife or in our own lives, where if you get a little bit out of shape, you're tired, you don't want to go, it's too hard, but it seems like one feeds the other. So, like, once you start getting it a little bit, it's just now you got more energy. Now you want to, like, get into it. So it's interesting. I always try to sell that to people who are kind of at that part of the journey where they want to start, like, some sort of lifestyle fitness change, but they're still buying into that, like, I don't have the energy to do it. And I'm like, if you just do it,
Yep.
then the energy comes. I swear,
Yep. It
it's
is.
it's crazy. So all that, so we covered a ton of stuff, Kayleb. I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're busy. You just told us how busy you are. So, and you took the time out of your day to come talk to us. But if Jacksonville was a chapter in your life's book, at the end of the book, you're sitting there, wherever you're at in your old age or whatever's going, I'm sure it's not going to end anytime soon. You've got a lot of stuff going on. It may not even be here in Jacksonville. So if you look back on that chapter, what would the title be and why?
Man, what would the title be and why? Just take the step would be the title. And that's for anybody considered, because usually what I found in myself is the reason why is most people want to make a change. They want to make the big move. They want to move to the Sunshine State. They want to get closer to the ocean. The hardest thing to do is just taking the first step.
Yeah.
Us as humans are resilient. We always tend to figure it out. Our brains are wired for survival, and there is so much more out there. It was very hard for a family, 5 kids, wife, to up and move to a whole different state 13 months after we bought our dream home in Illinois, where
Mm.
we thought we were going to be forever. Just take the step, because you can always go back. Like, if it doesn't work out, you can take that step back, because you never know the people, the opportunities you may bump into. We've created one of my wife's best friends is somebody from Nocatee that she met, that was military, that was living in North Carolina, and their paths crossed here. If it's on your radar, there's a purpose and a reason that it's on your radar. And a lot of times it ties right to my faith, is it's not a coincidence. You take that step and then operate from the faith, and it always works out.
So good. That's so important there. And I like that you said you can just take that step and then, if it doesn't work. Isn't there like a Gary Vaynerchuk said something? He's like, you can always get another crappy job. Like, quit your job, quit your job. Like you can always get another job. Like,
They're
I
all
understand.
normal fears like
I,
that. That's what I tell everybody. It's like all those fears that you're thinking, that's
yeah,
normal. We all have them. The only difference is somebody just stepped out
right.
and knows that it's gonna work out.
And setbacks suck. We get it, but it's if that's the worst that happens to you, if it doesn't work out, then okay, take another 6 months, 40 years down the line.
Yeah.
What are those 6 months going to cost you to find out? So if you could do one thing before we go, we got a vision of the future. I want to know two different things about the future here. What's coming down the pipe for Legacy Roofing? What's the vision of the future there? What are you offering to clients and, new customers?
Vision of the future for Legacy. So we are rolling out as new construction booms in this Northeast Florida, the housing market is heading back in the right direction. We are rolling out something that's going to go hand in hand with our home inspectors, our realtors, and any of these new construction clients, where we're going to be offering unlimited repairs on a monthly subscription. So if you think maintenance plan, or if you think warranty replacement for your phone, it's going to be very similar. It's going to be
Okay.
a monthly subscription. So that way, when we get one of these thunderstorms that blows 3 ridge cap off your roof 2 days before closing, we can just come in and repair it. There's no extra out-of-pocket expense to you. And it gives some homeowners peace of mind where they don't have to try to call somebody to get an estimate for this repair. And then it's inflated because 40 people called in because of the little windstorm that went by.
Yeah.
So that's what's coming down the pipeline.
Okay.
Limited repairs for our clients.
Dude, the first people I think of when I think about that too is the older folks. I go, I deal with a ton of customers, and a lot of times, and it makes sense, but they're getting older and it's harder for them to keep up with things. And so sometimes the houses are just a little let go.
Yeah.
And then it's a challenge for the family, if these folks pass on or they have to be moved into assisted or something. Now the family is like, oh crap, I got to do all these repairs to the house to either rent it or sell it off. And on their behalf. And so when I think about that, I think about the older generation a lot, that would really be a great opportunity for them to kind of help. So that's something cool. So we'll look out for that. What about, I know we talked about Jacksonville. We both love living here for all the benefits of it. But if there was something, it's not perfect. If there was something you could change, what would you like to see come to Jacksonville in the future?
Something I could change, something to come to Jacksonville. Man, if I could hand pick, I would say an NHL hockey team or a MLS soccer team. I think
Okay.
that's one thing that we're missing here. So I don't think we're going to get a baseball team, professional baseball team, but I think NHL or soccer would bring especially an international crowd. I mean, we saw what Messi did to Miami.
Yeah.
Something like that, I think, would really, really add to the Jags carry a lot of weight for the community. So I think having one more big professional sports team would be a huge added bonus.
I like that. I could get down with an NHL team for sure. I'm not a huge soccer guy, but NHL. I remember I grew up in Tampa Bay, so going to Tampa Bay Lightning games, it was quick, it was easy. There's a ton of games to go to, and I loved it. And it is something that I miss. And I know we got the minor league team. It's just not the same. We would like to see it on the large scale, man. So, hey, I really appreciate you coming on today. Before we sign off, for any of our listeners out there who need your services, would like to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
roofsbylegacy.com, or you can call us at 904-442-ROOF.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Kayleb. And thanks for listening to This is Jax.